All right, I've had a special request to look at Algebra PACE 1101, page 48, and a couple problems in particular in this section between problems 19 and 24. And that's where we're factoring, and it's a review from PACE 1100, the one we just finished. But sometimes these can be a little confusing when we look at them and we're trying to figure out where is that coming from, all right? So let's review our steps while we kind of set this up. The first thing is we always look to see, is there a common factor in all of these that we can factor out? And 10 has 2 and 5, 26 is 2 and 13, 12, obviously there's several factors, but 2 is definitely one of them, all right? So if I factor a 2 out of all of them, let's see what's left. 5x squared plus 13x plus 6. All right? Now, and I always write this out. Don't try to jump from here all the way to the answer, okay? Factor this out. Once we have this, then we can set up the 2 parentheses. We've got to bring the 2 down. That'll be part of the answer. So now it's just kind of a matching game. We have to just kind of look at it and figure out what are we doing here. So 5x squared, I know I'm going to have 5x in front of one of them because there's no other factors that make up 5. It's just 5 and 1. But now I've got 2 choices here for 6. So I can either do 3 here and 2 here, or I can do 2 here and 3 here. We could even do 6 and 1. We could try that. 6 and 1, or 1 and 6. Now I know that because these are both positive, then these are all going to have to be positive. Sometimes it gets even more confusing if one of these is a negative, and then we have to play around with it a little bit more. So just try it, all right? Try some of those combinations, and then you do the FOIL method. You do the first, the outer, the inner, and the last, and see what combination will come back and give you this as the answer, all right? I'm not going to take that any further. This part of it, I think we've done quite a bit of, all right? We just got to remember to factor this out first. And there's only a couple of options here, all right? So even if you try all 4, one of them is going to work. Let's jump over here and look at this one. What is the common factor here? Well, again, it looks like it's going to be 2, so c squared plus 5c minus 24, okay? So we leave the 2 out front. Set up your 2 parentheses. Because this is c squared, we know we're going to do c and c. And now we just have to think, what are some possible combinations that would make up 24? We could do 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. We know that we want this to be positive 5 in the middle and this to be negative 24. So could we somehow get 5 out of this? Could I subtract and get 5? No. Look at this, 8 and 3. I think we're on to something here, okay? There's a clue for you. I'm going to let you finish it. Play around with these 2 numbers, play around with positives and negatives, and then you always check it by using the FOIL method. First terms, the outer terms, the inner terms, the last term, and then you combine the like terms and see if you can get this back again. Now this last one here, wow, this is tricky. When we have a fraction that we're going to factor out, let's see what happens. That obviously becomes x squared, that's easy. But 1/4 times what would actually give me 100? You might be tempted to say 25, but that's what, 4. So 4 times 25 would be 100, so it can't be that. 100 is 1/4 of what? Are you thinking? Did you write an answer down? Let's try it. Let's see if 400. What is 1/4 times 400? I'll put that over 1. Oh, look. Cancel. And we get 100. Yay. Okay. Now, we're not done because now we have to factor this. So we'll leave the 1/4 out front, 2 parentheses. This has to be x and x. Because this is the difference of perfect squares, then one of them has to be positive, the other negative, And then you have to think, what number times itself equals 400? And again, I'm going to let you finish that. Anytime we see the difference of perfect squares, and we've seen that in several lessons in the past, right? Like x squared minus 9, you would easily factor that to say, okay, it's going to be x and x, 3 times 3, and then one's positive, one's negative. Let's check the FOIL method. First, x squared, outer, negative 3x, inner, positive 3x, and then the last positive 3 times negative 3 gives me negative 9. When I put these two together, they cancel out. Positive 3x and negative 3x gone. So all I'm left with is x squared minus 9, and that's what we want. All right? So, and again, this is review, but sometimes if it didn't really sink in the first time, then when we get to the review, it's still a little bit challenging. But work these out, and maybe even if you have some old PACEs, pull some out and have your parent or teacher give you some problems that you did in the past, and just make sure you know what you're doing before you dive in and try to do the self-test rather, and the PACE test, okay?